The air crackles with anticipation. It's the kind of tension you feel before a storm, the kind that precedes a seismic shift. For years, the music industry has operated under a set of unspoken rules, a carefully constructed hierarchy with Beyoncé and JayZ sitting firmly on the throne. They are the Carters, a brand synonymous with power, success, and a level of control that extends far beyond record sales and sold-out stadiums. But now, a challenge has emerged, a defiant voice daring to question the dynasty. That voice belongs to Nicki Minaj. This isn't just another celebrity feud. It's a full-blown rebellion against an empire. Imagine a gilded cage, beautiful and luxurious, but a cage nonetheless. For many artists, that's the reality of navigating the music industry under the Carters' reign. Success is possible, even lucrative, but only if you play by their rules, adhere to their image, and never, ever challenge their authority. Nicki Minaj has always been a disruptor, a force of nature who refuses to be silenced. But this time, she's not just stirring the pot. She's threatening to shatter the entire foundation. The first shot fired was subtle, almost imperceptible to the casual observer, a single word buried deep within Nicki's Twitter feed, camel. It was a seemingly innocuous term. But in the shadowy corners of the internet, it resonated like a battle cry. To those in the know, it was a direct insult aimed at JayZ, a coded message of disrespect that sent shockwaves through the industry. Why? Because in certain circles, camel has become synonymous with betrayal and unchecked ego, a label whispered about those perceived to be exploiting their power. But the camel tweet was just the beginning. What followed was a series of accusations, pronouncements, and veiled threats that painted a damning portrait of JayZ as a spiteful gatekeeper, a puppet master pulling strings behind the scenes to sabotage careers and maintain his iron grip on the industry. Nicki didn't hold back. She accused him of blocking Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl not because of talent or creativity, but because of personal grudges. That accusation landed like a bomb, igniting a firestorm of speculation and debate. The timing was crucial. Through his ROC Nation empire, JayZ wields significant influence over the NFL, handpicking the talent that graces the Super Bowl halftime stage. To suggest that he would use that power to settle personal scores was a serious charge, one that threatened to expose the underbelly of an industry built on carefully cultivated images and strategic alliances. Nicki wasn't just attacking JayZ's business practices. She was attacking his character, his reputation, the very foundation of his empire. And then, she crossed a line that few dared to approach. She resurrected a long-dormant internet conspiracy theory, a dark and twisted rumor surrounding Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter. The theory, which has circulated in hushed tones for years, suggests that Blue Ivy is not Beyonce's biological child, but the daughter of JayZ and a former publicist named Kathy White, who died under mysterious circumstances. Nicki didn't create the rumor, but she amplified it, dragging it back into the spotlight and forcing the world to confront a narrative that the Carters have worked tirelessly to suppress. It was a dangerous move, a declaration of war that threatened to expose secrets buried deep beneath layers of wealth, power, and carefully constructed silence. The internet exploded. The Blue Ivy theory, dismissed as a fringe conspiracy for years, was suddenly trending worldwide. Think pieces dissected every angle. Social media timelines overflowed with speculation, and the Carters' carefully crafted image began to show cracks. They remained silent. Of course, silence is their shield, their weapon of choice. But this time, the silence felt different, heavier, almost fragile. Others began to emerge from the shadows. Foxy Brown, a hip-hop legend with her own complicated history with JayZ, dropped a cryptic message, "MF Alive could stop my story." The implication was clear. She knew something explosive. And JayZ had allegedly done everything in his power to keep it buried. The internet buzzed with theories about a rumored NDA silence tax he had supposedly paid years ago. Then came Carmen Bryan, this ex-girlfriend, who reignited old flames by confirming her long-term affair with JayZ while Beyonce was ascending to solo superstardom. She claimed she even got pregnant, only to lose the baby. Fans connected the dots, weaving a narrative of betrayal and hidden truths. But Nicki's onslaught wasn't just about rumors and whispers. It was about power, control, and the alleged abuse of bots pointed to JayZ's legal team's aggressive tactics in shutting down lawsuits, particularly one involving a man named Rhys Satterthwaite, who claims to be JayZ's son. For over a decade, Rhys has been fighting for acknowledgement, not money. But JayZ has allegedly dodged paternity tests, fought sealed documents, and exploited legal loopholes to keep the truth hidden. The phrase dismissed with prejudice became a recurring motif, a chilling reminder of the Carters' ability to make problems disappear. It was the same phrase used in a case accusing JayZ of an alleged assault involving a teenager years ago. The case vanished, no testimony, no discovery, just erased from the headlines. Nicki's accusations resonated because they tapped into a long-held suspicion that the Carters operate above the law, that their wealth and influence allow them to silence dissent and bury uncomfortable truths. Her supporters saw her as a David facing a Goliath, a lone voice speaking truth to power. The industry, meanwhile, watched with bated breath. Artists, executives, and media outlets tiptoed around the controversy, afraid to pick a side. The Carters' reach is vast, their power undeniable. To cross them is to risk professional suicide. Even Stephen A. Smith, the outspoken sports commentator, found himself in the crosshairs after defending JayZ. Nicki unleashed her fury, mocking his image and accusing him of being a pawn in the Carters' game. Her husband, Kenneth Petty, even chimed in, posting the infamous camel insult, further escalating the conflict. This wasn't just a feud. It was a war, a narrative war, a battle for control of the story. On one side, you had the Carters, masters of silence, experts at managing their image, and ruthless in protecting their empire. On the other, you had Nicki Minaj, a force of chaos, and afraid to speak her mind and determined to expose what she believes to be the dark underbelly of the music industry. The stakes were high, the outcome uncertain. But one thing was clear, the game had changed. The silence from Camp Carter was deafening, a calculated move that only amplified the noise Nicki was making. But cracks were forming within their seemingly impenetrable fortress. Birdman and Juvenile, two titans of hip-hop with decades of street cred, publicly sided with Nicki. This wasn't just some flash-in-the-pan beef. This was a coordinated effort, a rebellion brewing from within the very foundations of hip-hop. The old guard was tired of being dictated to, tired of watching their legacies be overshadowed by the Carter machine. They saw in Nicki a kindred spirit, a fearless warrior willing to risk it all to reclaim control. Their support sent a clear message. This wasn't just about Nicki anymore. It was about the soul of hip-hop. Then Letitia M.'s name resurfaced, another woman claiming to be JayZ's daughter, allegedly living in a house secretly funded by his team. The twist: no pictures of him allowed. It was a bizarre detail, a chilling glimpse into the lengths the Carters would go to maintain their carefully curated reality. They didn't just build an empire, they built a filter, a system designed to decide who shines and who fades into obscurity. The Super Bowl, that glittering stage of American entertainment, became a focal point. Lil Wayne, a lyrical genius and a legend in his own right, admitted the rejection broke him. Those words hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the human cost of power. Was it talent that determined who graced that stage, or loyalty? The answer seemed increasingly clear. Nicki wasn't just talking about business, she was talking about betrayal. About the psychological toll of being iced out by the most powerful couple in music. What happens when the Carters decide your relevance has expired? When your name gets quietly deleted from playlists, events, and collaborations overnight? It's not coincidence, it's control. Tidal, the artist-owned streaming platform, became another battleground. Nicki, one of the loudest voices promoting the platform, allegedly saw her promised equity vanish as soon as the money started flowing. Buried contracts, legal fog, and quiet rights transfers conveniently kept the Carters protected. It was a familiar playbook, the same one allegedly used in much heavier situations. Remember Reese Satterthwaite's paternity case? JayZ's legal team reportedly argued he didn't own any property in New Jersey to dodge jurisdiction. Later, records surfaced suggesting that wasn't true. He did have property there. By then, the case was dead. The Carters didn't just use lawyers, they weaponized them. Foxy Brown clapped back at the rumors about her teenage connection to JayZ with a cryptic message, "MF Alive could stop my story." She didn't confirm. She didn't deny. But she reminded the world that behind those redacted documents and sealed files, there are stories that still breathe. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means pressure. Kelly Rowland, Beyonce's lifelong best friend, became a symbol of that pressure. Cameras caught her leaving a dinner in tears back in 2013. No context, no statements, just photos of Kelly crying outside a quiet restaurant while JayZ and Beyonce were nowhere to be seen. Fast forward to 2020, and there she was again, smiling in promo pics for Ivy Park, wearing Beyonce's Adidas collab like nothing ever happened. Was that loyalty or obligation? Chub X Hala, Megan Thee Stallion, even Lizzo, who Beyonce publicly supported during her legal troubles, all seemed to fall in line. It always looked like unity until you realize the only people getting support are the ones who never step out of line. That's not solidarity. That's control dressed up as friendship. The Grammys became a stage for subtle power plays. JayZ, smooth as ever, said, "The most Grammys, but never album of the year." That doesn't work. No yelling, no profanity, no meltdown, just ice-cold control. Precise, poetic, and powerful. The man knows how to cut without raising his voice. Compare that to Nicki's digital outbursts, raw emotion, real passion, but a delivery that, while attention-grabbing, lacked that same calculated precision. Nicki was torching bridges, calling out the machine and dragging every name tied to it. She knew exactly what she was risking, her career, her brand, maybe even her peace. But she was still charging straight at the throne. Maybe she finally realized what happens to the ones who play nice, the ones who smile through betrayal, who wear Ivy Park with tears still fresh in their eyes, who trade truth for access. For all of Nicki's chaos, the Carters' silence was more dangerous. It worked. They had survived everything: affairs, cheating rumors, misconduct accusations, paternity scandals, and dark conspiracy theories. Every time a story started gaining heat, it vanished. Every time a name started trending, it was mysteriously buried. Every time someone spoke out, they seemed to just disappear.